Yep.
Welcome everybody to what is, I think, our last meeting of the Section 41 committee. And it's been a fantastic time to be with you all up to this point. So we'll get through today and see what comes out of the next chapter of the Dark Sky story. But I'd like to acknowledge that and pay respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Nadjari, the Nawong, Nungaruku, the Narkat, Narrandjeri and Parramatta peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It's upon their ancestral lands and waters Mid-Murray Council meets and operates, and Council pays respect to elders past and present and their spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nation peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role the First Nations people continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today. All right, we have a list of people who are present. Do we have any apologies from anybody we're aware of? Nope. Very good. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. So thanks, Melissa, for circulating the minutes of the meeting 24th of February 2026. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Ross. Councillor Victoria, thank you very much. All right. Are there any questions about the minutes? Any comments or questions? If not, can I have a show of support of those in favour of the minutes, please? Yep. Okay, thank you. They'll duly noted. We have declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest from any member? Nope. Very good. All right, deputations, we have none, which brings us to our first of our 2 reports, the Dark Sky Strategy and Action Plan Progress Report. And I hope you've all had a chance to have a read through this, but could I invite perhaps Jared, do you just want to do a quick summary of the report for our benefit, please?
Sure. So essentially, this is just more of an in-depth review of the strategy and action plan that we have been doing every quarter. We reviewed it, and the report summarizes progress to date, including actions completed, outstanding, and the status of each action, and moving forward who the responsibility will become. You will see that we've added a few extra columns on the end, giving us the status, the comments, and previous and next steps. Pretty self-explanatory. There's a fair bit there that has been completed. Don't see I need to walk through it all.
No, it's been very well laid out.
If anyone has any questions, happy to answer questions.
Do we have any questions or comments on that table as prepared?
No, it looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. Yeah, that's an excellent document. So it really does help to pull a whole bunch of stuff together quite visually easily. All right, if that's the case, we have a recommendation on page 4 that the Dark Sky Strategy and Action Plan Progress Report be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Victoria, thank you.
I'll second that.
Oh, okay. No, Greg beat you by Greg got the house, I think, just by a whisker. Congratulations. Yeah. All right, we have just a show of hands of support of that, please. Yep. All right, that's carried. Thank you very much. All right, let us go. Where are we? Let's just get to that one, and then we'll come through here. All right, item 7.2 on page 16 of 49. We have a transition plan. And again, thank you for an excellent and detailed report on this. Jared or Gary, do you want us any comments, additional or summary, or any thoughts you'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, just through your chair, with the intention that we would be moving with the new board operational before the term of council to end. Because as you're aware, the Section 41 committee automatically dissolves at the end of the term of council. So it was pertinent to sort of get this transition plan in place so that the board become operational effectively before the caretaker period for council, so that the board can effectively then proceed with the program of the committee through what is just in the previous report in terms of the action plan. So effectively, we Jared pulled together the transition plan to just lay out the key steps that are needed to progress so that the board can become operational from the August, and then the board itself will be self-determining as to how often it wishes to meet in terms of progressing the action plan and any other actions that the board deemed appropriate. At that June council meeting, we'll be seeking for council to effectively dissolve the 41 committee formally, therefore, and also for council to nominate its representative for the board, whether that's an elected member or a staff representative.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. Welcome, Bill, to the meeting.
Howdy, everyone.
Hi.
Just a question, if I may. Some time ago, we spoke about sort of tapping people on the shoulder who may have an interest in becoming involved with this board going forward. Don or Chris or others, did you have any luck in coercing, bribing, threatening anyone to get involved in the Astronomical Society or other places?
Well, I did suggest a couple to council members, but that's a while ago now, and I'm not sure. I mean, things have changed a bit even since that time, and I'm not sure now whether it's appropriate. I mean, one of them was John George, but because he's got his own system now. But you may still think that the other one was Ken Grant, who's a technical person whose background and skills would be relevant to the new board.
Mm.
And I think he's willing to do it.
Fantastic. All right.
Mm.
All right. Thank you. Chris, any thoughts from yourself about folk out there that might have an interest?
Not specifically, but I think in general, I think what we need to do is look for more high-profile people who may be willing to get involved. For example, I'm thinking of perhaps someone from the space agency or more high-level people in those areas. I don't know anyone specifically. Don may, but I think that would help the profile for us.
Thank you.
So what I would suggest through the chair is that any names that you feel are appropriate to forward through to Jared or myself. With the transition plan, the idea is that the members of the 41 committee, you are the new association and therefore the new board directors. You do have capacity to fill 2 appointed directors. So in terms of who you wish to approach to be those appointed directors, that will be a part of that transition to invite them to be on the board. So yes, I would definitely encourage you to come up with some names and what skill sets you would prefer to see on the board, noting your own individual skill sets that you bring to the board, what you feel are the current gaps moving forward. So yeah, as the board, you have the next 12 months before your first AGM, before you have elections. So half of you will have to step down and potentially renominate. So that's the things that you got to think about moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think it is a skills matrix around the skills that are currently there and then where the gaps are. And probably to your point, Chris, around, again, the sort of profile and being able to sort of open doors is a key requisite too for most boards as well.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, good, fair comments. Now, just I have read this in terms of timeline. So this, assuming we adopt the recommendation, the 3-point recommendation here, this will go to your May
To the June
June council meeting,
meeting,
and then at that stage, then they'll resolve
the 41 and nominate a representative from council. With the suggestion that, yeah, maybe the first board meeting be August, but again, the new board could effectively call a July meeting should it wish to. It's prerogative now as to how it wishes to operate.
Yeah.
As the transition plan outlines, council will continue to provide administrative support for the board for the interim period. So yeah, we've been speaking about how that will look and feel going forward. Obviously, the meeting room here is still available for the board to meet. So they're the sort of things that the board through an MOU with council to work through what that support looks like.
Fantastic. All right. Well, are there any other comments or questions from any member?
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
I would suggest someone from the Department of Environment and Water, whatever they call themselves, should be looked at.
Yeah. No, fair call.
Yes, we on the Landcare Dark Sky Committee, we have Paul Gillen from Department of Environment on that committee. He's been he's been on that committee right from the very beginning, so he's fairly knowledgeable, and he may be able to suggest someone or be willing to take it on.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But to the point that a few people have made, I think this becomes a more high profile, perhaps position that needs to be, looked at, because previously, how do I put it politely, not for the minutes, there was a lack of understanding and support from the Department of Environment and Water from the high levels. And that situation might have changed with the change of personnel, but I think that needs to be explored. But to your point, Chris, Paul would be, he's a good enough guy to, sort of talk it over with and say, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
A more senior person might be good.
All right. Conversations we can have perhaps in the near future.
Can I just add one thing? Don, with regard to John George, I think this committee going forward is going to have to build a very strong relationship with John and his observatory and the plans that they've got, because we have to be able to work with them and make it a constructive relationship for both sides. It's not sides, it's everybody going in the same direction. So whether John would be willing to take that on, or Sean as a representative who's already working at the observatory, I think that's an essential part of what we do from here on.
Oh, well, I don't think Sean fits in with the previous comments that you and Bill have made, but John would. And when we were asked to make some suggestions of names before, I did talk to John about it and Ken before I put their names forward, and they both agreed. But whether he's still. There's a fair bit of time's passed since that was asked of us, and things have happened since. So, whether it's still he's still keen on that, I don't know. But we can certainly find out. Yeah. I get the feeling that, I'm assuming, to be clear, we'll have one representative from council who is to be nominated by council at some point down the track. And who are the rest of the members that are sitting around the table now who get transferred into the system? I think it's you, Chris, and me. And administrative support, we're yet to find out what that's going to be from council, whether Jared's the representative or whether he's supporting us or what, I'm not sure. who else will be in this group will be involved down the track?
Yeah, there's a list. So Leela, I think from the school, is on.
Leela, Bill,
Yeah.
Greg, and
Greg.
Mid-Murray gets to nominate someone as well. That's correct, isn't it? On top of me, is that right?
That's
the
correct.
way I understand it.
Yeah.
So, for example, Mid-Murray Landcare could nominate Ken Grant, for example, as Mid-Murray Landcare's representative on the committee, on the board.
Yeah.
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 So, Leela from the school, Bill, Greg, you, me, and
Andrew.
the councillor. Is that
Andrew.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and Andrew, of course. I'm sorry, Andrew.
No, that's fine. And we'll get to this. We'll get to the detail in due course. But more than happy, not to be presiding member or chair. I'm happy to share that around, or as a transitional arrangement if somebody else wants to look at that. And I'm just thinking that perhaps ideally, between us all, we need to find our dream team list, if you will, of who
exactly
are really good. Perhaps just even just for now, putting aside realities. I'm just thinking, Chris, your contact with the Australasian Dark Sky Committee from Sydney. I'm thinking the lady's name. I've just gone blank on it. She puts
Marnie.
Yeah, thank you. I think perhaps some involvement there. Obviously, all those sort of opportunities might be there.
Just for everyone's information, Marnie's partner is Fred Watson, who was for a while chief scientist. Isn't that correct?
Chief astronomer.
Chief astronomer, right. So he was the head of the Siding Spring Observatory for quite some time, and astronomer at large, I think it was for the federal.
That was when he retired. They wanted to keep him hanging about, trying to promote community engagement and other things like that with him, and so he was given that title. I don't think he got a salary to go with it, but I think he did get his some of his travel expenses and other costs covered. So it was a sort of a interim arrangement.
In terms of sort of national profiles, someone like Fred would be a big help to us, I think.
Yeah.
And may be willing to take it on. We'll see. I'll talk about that and see what he thinks later on.
Yeah, okay. All right. But we'll work behind the scenes and just come up with that team of people that we think would be a really good fit. And then we can set about the process of,
So through the chair, just to go back to Don's comment question. So yes, Jared is the public officer for the board. So he will obviously continue to operate and support the board for the period of time until that needs to be looked at. Yes, as I said, an MOU between the board and council will be drafted up as to what support council will continue to provide to the board. And finally, as per the report too, we'll look to set up a small little working group with a representative of the board, the council and the Landcare group, just to make sure that that's meeting more regularly, just to make sure that all the I's and T's that are needed to be done over the next 12 months are completed.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Are there any more comments, questions, observations to this report?
I think, look, it's a great report. I mean, I think an observation is that there is, I suppose, some continuity in terms of the transitional arrangements. But I think if you go back to the constitution that's been sort of proposed and then what the purpose of the board is, then as part of that, I suppose, a part of the next sort of year is to then make sure we're structured in a way that can actually achieve the objectives that are set out in the constitution. And I think that's absolutely then comes down to also then which skills you have that are existing and which ones you need and which ones are replicated. So obviously there's some technical skills that are needed. There's some, so I think that's kind of really important for those transition arrangements to really look at then, which is then going to impact, I suppose, the governance on an ongoing basis.
Fair. Thanks, Greg. Fair points.
Because I mean, within that, there's a lot within that, but there's also again some lobbying. So therefore, that is also then who has that capability to get out there and do that. So I think there's a bit to talk about for sure, but I mean, I think it's amazing the work that's been done to get the Constitution up and running and to see the progress it's made.
I think, Andrew, that I just get the feeling that when we were asked for nominations, it was when the new board concept was still some fair way off in the distance. It became a bit sharper later, and it all accelerated. But I feel that what we've had so far is a group of people trying to support the council's involvement in this. And now we're going to have some of those people with some hopefully new people and some not involved that have been involved. It's a different scene. And I get the feeling that maybe those that are going forward need to get together, maybe informally, in a cafe somewhere or whatever, and just to beat around the concepts along with what was just mentioned about what skills have we already got and what do we need in the future. And it may well be that we collectively, those of us who are going to carry the ball further forward, have to pursue some additional skills that we haven't had so far. So I just sort of feel that maybe it's needed to have that sort of discussion, perhaps informally somewhere, to try and develop a potential team for the board.
Yeah, I agree, because I think also from there it's a development of the organisation needs to have a clear strategy. Otherwise, you run the risk of just scattergun. So it sort of is really, it's going to come back to then, okay, where do we want to be? And then the key, and how do you get there? Yeah. And that's where that's kind of then essential around actually then, being able to also be accountable, governing the organisation properly, and all those things that sort of come along with it.
Yeah, that's right. Because it feels to me it's a different kettle of fish to put your hand up and respond to the council's need for a group of people to assist the council going forward with this program, which we did a few years ago, or compared with being a member of a board with a constitution we now have, to try and make this all some sort of success in the longer term. I think they're two different things.
Yeah, and I think there's also specific director responsibilities that you're going to have, that you have along the way through. That again, you need to be really clear of what they are, which is part of, I suppose, what going into it is all about as well.
Yeah.
Just on that, it's all good points. I'm sorry, and obviously, people in local government that could probably help in this. I remember we did a bit of a audit, whatever you want to call it, on our board members' skills when I was at Murray River Lakes and Coorong Tourism. And there was actually a document that then the CEO of the Rural City Murray Bridge, Michael Sedgman, provided that was used in local government, which enabled the board members to clearly outline their skill sets, and it enabled a better way of evaluating what gaps you had. I can't remember the name of it, but maybe someone could, in local government could enlighten us there. But I remember it was a useful thing.
Okay.
Through the chair, just two comments just in relation to Greg's comment. And the main reason why the previous report was done in terms of the strategy and action plan was to give you a status as a board.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your next strategic plan, as a board, you need to set that direction. So either you utilise what was in the current plan and just roll it over and update it, or you write yourself a whole new plan based on the objectives of the board. So I think that's a key action that the new board will need to do as part with its first 12 months or 6 months to really set its strategic plan. I was going to comment on something that Don said, but I've forgotten what it was, so apologies.
No, and if I may, Don, I think, you know, you're absolutely right. Personally, I think there are a number of headwinds I can see in this process. You know, it's a big responsibility that those going forward are taking on. You know, talking multi-million-dollar infrastructure builds, all those sort of things. That's you know, it's different to running a church hall and, you know, keeping the books and all those sort of things that, you know, most local groups get involved with, or that sort of thing. So, you know, I think Don's point is well made. So
yeah, so that was one comment in terms of Don. You know, as I said, the Constitution will require you to meet on a minimum regular basis, but like I said, in the first phase, you may want to meet more regularly as a board just to nut out some of those issues, so that you know, and like I said, with that working group to assist everyone to do so. So yeah, you might be meeting, you know, more regularly than in the first few months.
Mm. Yeah, but I think there's even a meeting that, this is why I said maybe informal, until we've sort of scratched around and work out what sort of skills we need, and presumably there'll be other people that we'll have to invite onto the system. And by the time we do that, when we do that, then we've got a board to work on the strategy and revise the strategy or whatever has to happen. But at the moment, we would only be, you know, maybe half or 2/3 of that team if we did it fairly soon. We have to decide who the new members are and get them involved at that stage of making the plans.
yeah,
So in terms of the two vacancies, you know, that's up to you as to when you appoint them. They don't need to be there on day one, but you've got that option of appointing two appointed directors.
Yeah, well, I think we need to do that pretty soon.
yeah. We can catch up after this meeting. I'm happy to arrange.
Yeah.
Maybe just arrange for a first meeting, perhaps in Adelaide somewhere, and a bit of a face-to-face, or somewhere where it's convenient for everyone.
Yeah,
if it's around the district.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
Yeah,
I think Don's right. This is something we need to do face to face. It's quite difficult to do it.
That's why I suggested, like, you know, around a coffee or something, just to rattle around and make sure we're on the same page with respect to what's missing.
Yeah. Coffee, I think of a pint more likely, but anyway, but coffee sounds good.
Something harder.
That's right. No, it's a big ticket item. I don't take this very lightly at all. It is, you know, it's going to be a challenge for all of us to make this work. Absolutely. I'm not sugarcoating in any way. All right. Any other comments, questions, observations before we go to the recommendation? Very good. Well, on page 16, we have a 3-part recommendation that I don't think I need to read out again. Could I please have a mover and a seconder for that 3-part recommendation? Councillor Victoria, Councillor Roz. All right, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Against? All right, that is carried. Thank you very much. All right, let's just what's our next page? Right down everything now.
49.
49. Right. All right. Do we have any questions without notice? All right, we have no confidential reports. All right. And our next meeting will be the 25th of August. This will be the inaugural meeting of the River Murray International Dark Sky Board Incorporated, 2 p.m. in Canberra. So again, I look forward to the journey ahead with you, and thank you very, very much for all what you've taught me over the last couple of years. It's been a great learning experience, and I, do my best to play my role and make a go of this. But we'll catch up in the near future and work on a cunning plan, as the man said. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody?
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Ross.
Just like to wish all the members of the new board happy travelling and hope you achieve what you want.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. We look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks very much. Thanks all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
There you are.